Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I would like to talk about 4 steps to write a clear problem statement. There are some questions for research students to ponder before writing a problem statement. Some of the questions that you need to ask yourself, such as, have I explained what am I going to do? Have I explained why am I doing this? Have I addressed why it is worth doing? Have I explained how it relates to what has been done or what has been known in the subject area? Have I stated the gaps that are available as based on the existing studies and the underpinning issues? Have I justified what gaps that this is will undertake based on the available identified research gaps? There are some common concerns by the examiner when reviewing the postgraduate thesis. Some of the research students could have experienced the following concerns viewed by the examiners. Some of the major concerns are such as the fundamental issues on the subject area are not well defined. The related similar research or studies within the subject area are not critically presented or demonstrated. The available research gaps in the subject matters are not well identified and addressed. The research motivation in this study is not well connected with those identified available research gaps. This is a common concerns that you can experience from the examiner's point of view. Research will start with ideas, but how the researchers view the ideas and turn the ideas into a viable research or generate and refine research ideas. So this is what we are going to discuss on how to formulating the problem statement based on the ideas and how to make these ideas into a viable research and generate a significant and contribution to the body of knowledge. There are common questions that the research student need to clarify before drafting a problem statement. The questions are how to identify issues and or research problem. Is the issue identified worth studying? Has the identified issue been studied before? Has the identified issue beneficial or significant contributions either to the body of knowledge or to the practical knowledge? Before formulating a problem statement, there are 3 things that the research students need to undertake. The first thing is the research student need to clearly define what is the problem statement. Get to know and understand what is the problem statement will make the researchers more easier to formulate the problem statement. The second thing is about the know the problem. So to what extent does problem statement successfully address a research gap is based on how far or how deep the researcher know the problem. The third one is about the writing style. How clear are the problem statement is based on how good you are to write a problem statement. So, how to produce or how to develop a good problem statement will be discussed in this video. We may define the problem statement by asking the questions. Why should research on a subject matter be undertaken? If the answer is because there is a problem or issue on the subject matter which need for further improvement or solution, meaning to say that you can write a problem statement. There is an issue in there, and then you may be able to produce or to formulate a problem statement. Therefore, problem statement can be defined by explaining the idea or focus of the field of research being studied, explaining critically and comprehensively the fundamental issues being studied, and identifying research gaps of which subject matter worth studying. There are various situations in which you might have to write a problem statement. In an academic research, writing a problem statement can help you to contextualize and understand the significance of your research problem. The problem statement will look different depending on whether you are dealing with a practical, real world problem or a theoretical, scientific issues. So, the first step to contextualize the problem is known as a practical problem. Example on occasion for the practical problem is motivated by a questions. Where and when does the problem arise? Who does the problem affect? What attempts have been made to solve the problems? And why this practical problem really matters? Why it matters? It matters when what will happen if the problem is not solved? Who will feel the consequences? Does the problem have wider relevance affecting society, organization, institution, or else? So this will make you to formulate the problem based on the practical problem. The second step to contextualize the problem is known as a theoretical problem. So, example of the theoretical problem is based on occasion, what is really already known about the problem? What is the established theory or model that be known in the existing knowledge? Is the problem limited to a certain time period or geographical area? Is it already outdated? Just like the technology? All right, or geographical area is a different area, different country. How has the problem been defined and debated in the scholarly literature? Why it matters for theoretical problem? So we look on the question, how will resolving the advanced understanding of the topic under study? Do we need to extend the knowledge on the theoretical scientific problem? What benefits will it have for future research? Does the problem have direct or indirect impact to the wider society? Therefore, knowing the problem from the ideas of unknown, from the ideas of the unknown to the known would be contextualized within two steps of either the practical problem, which is be based on the experience and practical issues, or a theoretical problem which is based on the motivation from the existing research is a theoretical and scientific issues. Okay, so there is a two steps, or there is a two ways, all right, to formulate the research problem is based on the context of your nature of your study. Either the problem is a practical issue or is it the theoretical issues. After you have identified issues and problems from your research projects, and you already identified either your problem is a practical or theoretical problem, so now you be able to write a clear problem statement. Okay. So there are 4 steps in writing a clear problem statement which the examiner would like to look on your thesis. These 4 steps is actually the common concern that the examiner will searching out in your problem statement writing. They will look on these 4 steps. They will look on these 4 components. So the first component or the first step is either the problem statement stating the fundamental issues or problem in relation to the intended subject study matter. The second step or the second component that examiner would like to see, to find out in your problem statement writing is either the problem statement that you write in the thesis justifying critically the findings from previous and existing studies or knowledge that have been discovered, related theories, practice or policies to the subject study matters. The third component or the third step that the examiner would like to see in your problem statement is either the problem statement demonstrating the research opportunity or the research gaps that are still available in relation to the subject matter. And finally, the fourth steps or the fourth component is either the problem statement concluding on how this study intend to address the problem, or what actually the gaps that this study is intend to fill in the gaps based on the existing gaps. Now, let me share with you an example of problem statement written by one of the researchers. Let us now assume that I am an examiner of this thesis, and now I am reading the problem statement of this thesis. When you look at this draft problem statement, all right, you may write 3, 4, or 5 pages, or you could write 10 paragraphs or more of the problem statements. However, the examiner like me, we only search for main components that should be in the problem statement. Let us review together this problem statement and find out how the problem statement is written and formulated. All right, first we look on the first paragraph. So what this first paragraph inform us, or leading us to what issues that we are actually searching for this subject matter of the thesis. Okay. After reading the first paragraph, I come to know that the issues underpinning for this study is about the shortcoming skill in engaging communities. How I come to know about this? Because the writer or the researchers started writing about the issues by demonstrating the problems, which is a practical problem with regard to the communities who actually not agree with the government policies that put forward to their neighborhood. So we look at here, yeah. So there is a sentence to highlight, to strengthen the argument of this researcher, saying that the evidence suggests that local communities are less engaged in the development process of that program that imposed in their neighborhood. So the less engaged here is actually fall within the subject matter of skill. What type of skill? This is the shortcoming skill in engaging communities. So skill in engaging communities is shortcoming. All right. So now we have the issues now. So this study have the motivation that lead to further investigation on issues with relation to the less engaged in the development process of the project imposed to the neighborhood of the community. So we go to the second paragraph. All right. So when you look at the second paragraph, so what me as an examiner, I would like to search on what actually the existing knowledge that being known with regard to the subject matter that this researcher already identified. All right. So for the second paragraph, I started to search on the what actually the existing knowledge or the previous studies undertaken by the researchers that will make known to me with regard to these issues. All right. So when I read the second paragraph, okay, they come to me that there is an initiative by the government, all right, with regard to the engaging the community. So this is what is discussed in the second paragraph. So actually, the skill for engaging the community is already come into the policies for the government for this, the process of delivering housing market renewal. But this evidence suggests that the skill for improving the engaging community is already there, already established. But what happened now, there is still a mismatch between the community expectation and what the government try to offer to this community. So this mismatch, all right, between the expectation and what the government try to impose for this community, this will create the motivation of this study on the shortcoming of skill in engaging community. Okay, what happened now? Is it the community less engaged? If they less engaged, in what way? They are less informed. Why they are less informed? Is it the local community unable to fully engage to inform the community what is the benefits of this program to their communities, to their neighborhood? Okay, so now we go to the third paragraph. The third paragraph, actually, they are more on actually to strengthen, to support the second paragraph. And then this writing or the researcher try to support again the second paragraph by saying the additional information about the shortcoming of the necessary skills to manage regeneration initiative were first noted in the report. So actually the initiative for the a skill, necessary skill to engage the community is already there as early as 1999. All right. So what happened to the report? So they must be had something with the report. All right. And then what actually is the government initiative to strengthen, to deliver, or to develop more this initiative, so to make sure that they are working for this community. All right. So this is the second. This is the second step, the second component, that evaluating what actually the existing knowledge, the existing initiative, the existing guideline, or the existing policies that already established, already known, make known, all right, to within these subject matters that the researcher already identified at the first paragraph. Okay, and then we go to the fourth paragraph, and then again for the fourth paragraph, all right, again for the fourth paragraph, okay, if you look at there, all right, they still also discuss on the skills, the existing skills, the existing professional competence. So this is from the previous researchers, from the previous literatures, from the previous knowledge on the competencies, on the skills that necessary for these all professionals to perform or to deliver within the process of this housing market renewal project. So this all already there. But what happened? Why that the local community still object with the proposed initiative or the proposed program by the government to develop their neighborhood? There must be something that is the mesh between the local expectation of the local community and what the government try to impose to that local community. So with the second paragraph, the third paragraph, and the fourth paragraph, actually this is the argument, the justifications on what is the existing knowledge with regard to the subject matters that the researchers already identified at the first place, at the first for the first paragraph, that will actually demonstrate the research gaps for this study. Okay, so we go for the fifth paragraph. So the fifth paragraph is the third step that I am actually searching for. I'm searching for what actually the gaps of this study. What actually the gaps, the issues that still available for this study, and why this researcher actually wish or intend to do this research. Okay, so the third step that I would like to search for this paragraph or for this problem statement is about the gaps that bridging the fundamental issue. What is the fundamental issue? That already discussed in the first paragraph, which is less engaged of the local community, that motivate this study to explore on the shortcomings of the skill to deliver for the regeneration initiatives. All right. So we have that one. So there is a link. There is the connections, yeah, between the what is the fundamental issue and what actually knowledge that made known for this study, and from these two discussions, yeah, the researcher will be able to develop what actually the gaps, all right, for this research. So by identifying or by demonstrating the research gaps, the researcher or the writer of this problem statement be able to propose a bridging of the fundamental issue. How can the researcher feel on? Mean that how can researcher bridge the gap between the issues on the ground, all right, with the existing study or the existing knowledge, and due to these two, bridging the gaps, and at the end, this research will propose what actually the motivation of this study, and propose what actually this study is try to pursue, try to investigate further. Okay, so when you look on the step 3, so on the component of 3, demonstrating research gap that bridging the fundamental issues, all right, so from this paragraph, so is clearly show that how the writer precisely and clearly demonstrate that yes, there is a gap, and then these gaps will make a bridge to the what the fundamental issues that occurs in the ground or in the real case, life case in this community. All right. So evidence shows that guidance for attaining the full level of the community in the housing market renewal process is little or does not exist. So these researchers make a conclusion based on this source. All right. All right. So, however, all right, are bound by the legislative framework to have full level of engagement with the community at the early stage of the process. That's why, therefore, to improve the engagement with the community, the necessary skills need to be acquired by different stakeholders to those involved in the housing market renewal process. So, at this level, at the component 3 or the step 3, the researcher already identify the gaps, and from this gap, the researcher lead the reader to what actually this study is investigating for based on the gap. Right? So the component 4, the step 4 actually is the conclusion or the concluding focus or aim of the intended research based on the identified gap which bridging the fundamental issues. So at this stage, all right, so it is clearly stated in this problem statement that how the researcher formulates the problem statement based on these 4 components of the problem statement, which these 4 components are very, very crucial, very, very important. Due to that, the examiners, when they are reviewing or they are reading the problem statement of the problem statement writing, they will actually look on these 4 components of problem statement, which is the first step is to look on the what actually the fundamental issues that underpinning the studies. All right. The second step that the examiner will searching for is what actually the existing knowledge that's made known for this study. The third one is either the researcher or the writer of this problem statement be able to demonstrate what actually the research gets. All right, the research gets that against the fundamental issues that already made known from the first paragraph. And then the fourth one is the concluding focus or the concluding aim of the intended research based on the identified gaps. So at the number 4, actually, the component 4, examiner will look on the actually what actually this thesis investigating for, what actually the aim of this thesis. All right, so the aim of this thesis can be as early as the component 4 because of the concluding the focus or aim of the intended research is based on the gaps is also can be the your research aim of this study. Writing a clear problem statement that I share in this video is based on my own experience as an examiner for PhD thesis. In conclusions, I could summarize that a clear problem statement should present how the study intends to address the problem, either as practical or theoretical problems. Second, a clear problem statement should be written as to seek out reasons behind the problem rather than to find a conclusive solution. The third one is a clear problem statement should be able to demonstrate a proposal of more effective approach to tackling or understanding the problem. Thank you very much for watching.